Today I'm just going to take you along for a day in the life of an orchid grower. Well, this poor little guy, he needs to be repotted. He's escaping the pot and he's not staying upright any longer. That's what all the damage on the leaf is now from being knocked over and being pushed around. So now he needs to desperately be repotted. We have some nice fresh growth, some nice fresh roots, and we can see what a large size plant he's going to become. So I'm going to be potting him into a great big giant air pot. This way I'm hoping I'm not going to have to repot him for at least 3 to 5 years. And I'm going to be potting him in charcoal and large bark chunks. And believe me, I go through bags and bags and bags of this stuff. And it's going to be as simple as that. Basically, just mixing the two together in about a 50-50 ratio. These Cattleyas really like to have those wet sessions as if it was raining and then dry out completely. There we go again. Safer to leave them lying down now. And by using all this charcoal, I'm ensuring that any toxins in the water are drawn out. That's the nice thing about charcoal. It doesn't affect the water's mineral and salt content, but it does draw out the toxins. The toxins are then attached, chemically bonded, should I say, to the surface of the charcoal. Okay. Let's just move this out the way so that I can use this. There we go. I just want to try and loosen him out of the pot a bit. Because he's so nicely attached to the sides, I don't want to damage those roots too much. Most of the roots on the back side are often past their prime, so those ones we don't mind if they damage too much because they're probably dead anyway. Squeezing the pot just to loosen up the insides a bit because he really has done a good job in here. Yeah, this mix was a medium-sized bark and we had small lacquer balls in it. That's probably why I was trying to escape the pot. The media just wasn't giving enough air movement. There we go, just try and loosen them up slightly from the sides. I should have really soaked this first to make the roots more pliable. Sometimes doing videos we take shortcuts so that we can show you what we're doing. Oh, he's well rooted in here. There we go. Looks like he still has a really good strong root system. I think although the bark is decomposed, all the lacquer was holding up to keep at least some air volume in between, and allowing for that drainage. So it didn't rot terribly much. I always remember holding down there, you've got to be careful all those dormant buds, those growth points we don't want to break off or damage. Always such a careful balance between manhandling and actually getting the job done. Or should I say manhandling while getting the job done and being gentle enough that we don't damage anything. No damage. Careful those new roots on that side where my eyes aren't. So swing them around a bit. Not quite sure what my thinking was when I repotted them the last time that I used such a fine bark and such small lacquer. It's not generally something I would do with a plant that I know gets this big. Perhaps it was while we were moving and I knew I wasn't going to be able to get to watering that frequently. So perhaps I'd try to make sure he was in a media that was going to allow for enough moisture retention that if I forgot about him for a month, he'd still be okay. Because believe me, that's what's happened with a lot of these orchids as we let go of our large orchid nursery and retired. Suddenly not so many hands to do everything, and a lot of things got left to fend for themselves for a while in the chaos. Trying to fit a huge orchid collection into a small property. Okay, he has actually a really incredibly strong set of roots here. Even though some of these roots are still viable, I'm just pulling them out because we have such a large mass here in the middle. I just want to allow for the new fresh growth to be able to set in. I don't want to clog the pot up with old roots. I'll just take out some of these drier roots that have been out right against the side and squished up. They're still viable, but there's a few dry ones that have been right at the top of the pot. Those can come out. Let's remove some of those old leaf sheaths around this new growth that's sort of twisted its way around and turning back on itself, just to ensure that there's no rot that can occur. We'll see if we can get those roots back in underneath. Okay, there we go. Let's just get in there a little bit more. I don't like that blackness that's setting in there. I'm going to have to ensure that I give this baby a good spray with my calcium acetate to ensure that there's no calcium deficiency happening here, which can happen with a lot of Cattleyas. Often it's more likely when there's fewer roots on the plant that the plant is then not able to absorb that calcium. But with this, if I just give it some calcium acetate as a quick fix and then ensuring that I give it calcium in my feed when I feed it. I don't always remove these leaf sheaths, but we're coming into spring now. With spring we get a lot of mist and dampness, and just repotting this guy now, I want to ensure that we don't get any excess water being retained around the pseudobulbs. We can see some really nice little buds coming up there and there. So this plant is going to fill out nicely. We have one here. We'll just remove the sheath a bit. Okay, I can just see a little bit of green there, so I don't want to mess with it too much in case I do a little bit of damage. But it looks like it's battling, so obviously also very possibly calcium deficiency happening here slowly. There's another bud wanting to sprout down there, and another one over here. That one's rotten off. So this plant is going to bounce back. So let's get him into this new pot and the new media and watch him grow. Again, planting the back end up against the edge of the pot, because most of the growth is going to be growing out that way. So I'm just going to throw some down the bottom. We're just going to push some of that media in between those roots as we open the roots up, just to ensure that they get maximum contact with the media itself. If they're all pushed together in one little area, they're just going to rot off. So as you're putting in the media, you just want to open the roots out and get the media in between. Spread the roots around the pot. And I've just done the biggest novice mistake possible. I haven't put my stake in before I started potting, because now with all these large chunks of bark and the charcoal, it's going to be difficult to maneuver a stake into place now. But there we go. Every day we make mistakes, and every day we've got to work around the mistakes that we've made. Okay, let's see if we can find that stake now before it's too late. So lucky enough, I found a nice stiff wire stake that I can use that should be easier to get in than trying to force one of those wooden stakes in. This should get through the mix of it. There we go. A lot of drama for nothing. Now, what we're going to have to do possibly is stake this guy up. No, we're going to have to use multiple stakes here, I think. Okay, just careful positioning. I like to put the stake, especially with my Cattleyas, not around the thickest part of the pseudobulb, because for one, those ties can slip down. I like to tie it up above it, and also it stops any restriction taking place if that pseudobulb is going to expand further. And of course, you never put enough media out when you really want to. When such a small piece won't break. Okay, and then just top them up. And remember, when doing this with Cattleyas, don't cover up the rhizome. Allow the rhizome to breathe. Let it be exposed to the fresh air. And there we go, just a simple, easy repot. If you find any bark pieces that are not nice, rather throw them out the media than leaving them in the pot. It's rather to have those nice big chunks so that you have less worry about them degrading too fast. And especially sometimes in bark chunks you can get chunks of wood. Those little chunks of wood, although often not many, can be more problematic because those are going to rot quite quickly. And as the rot starts, so it will set in through everything else, so it will decompose your media. It will make your media decompose way faster. So just keep an eye out for those and make sure that you're not putting in any in your bark media. Also, they can set nice little environments for those anaerobic fungi and bacteria to grow, which can cause problems for your plant. Okay. There we go. All our little bud eyes are nicely exposed so that they can grow easily. They've got that light now that's going to help them really pop fast. We're going to remember to feed this with calcium. And there's our beautifully potted Cattleya. I'm not even going to remove this damaged leaf. I'm going to allow it to be on the plant for a while longer until those new growths have really set in well, and by then anyway both leaves will probably be old and yellowing and ready to fall off by themselves. So before I give this any more sunburnt than I have already, let's go put it back to where it belongs. These roots are going to set out through all of these holes here and probably make it extremely difficult for the next repotting. But that's why I don't want to repot this again soon. And what I might even do, depending on how far gone the bark is, I can actually just rinse it out with a strong hose and pot the whole thing up as it is into a bigger size pot. So let's see when we get there. And if you've enjoyed this day in the life of an orchid fanatic video, please drop a comment down below. It will help us know whether you want to see more content like this. Thank you for watching, and if you found any of this information helpful, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button down below, and bing bong, that notification bell to be notified of all our upcoming content so you don't miss out on a thing. Help us grow as we help your orchids grow.